Hello there guys, and welcome back to another live stream. My name's Mike, aka Decimal Punked, and we are in Photoshop tonight. So I do have the project open. This is the game that I'm making, group game. At the moment we have the HUD at top left. Press E, use the offensive ability, left shift uses the defensive ability. I know I'm an engine, but the reason why I've got this open in the background is because I'm going to be creating the HUD frames in Photoshop. So that's the purpose of tonight's stream, and if I'm not too tired afterwards, I'll be jumping into Blender to do some more modeling on my space game. So why have I opened that in there? 1 second guys, I thought I dropped that in there. There we go. Okay, so basically this is almost full scale. Obviously we've got this top section of the image that is the simulation window within Unreal, but what the hell? But we've got a rough kind of position of where things are going to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the frames, because we have 3 different eras in this game. We've got a medieval, we've got a war zone, and then we've got a jungle. So I want to have the frames in the same position, so it's consistent across, the HUD is consistent across the 3 different levels. And then obviously I can just kind of customize the style to the era. So at the moment, we've got the health bar, and we've got the profile picture. That's going to be a portrait. When the artists have created the character, I'm going to get a nice headshot, put it in here, and what we're going to do is, if I just open up Discord, yeah, so Duncan O'Donnell. So basically we're going to have a nameplate at the top with the health bar below. So with this being medieval, I'm just going to try and do like a steel type nameplate. So is that the curved border? Ah, perfect. Okay. So we're going to go for like a steel kind of colour. Now, do bear in mind guys that this is likely to change. Let's get that centre. I'll turn that one off. We want to, yeah, extras is on. Right, so that's central there. So we want to have it down the bottom, and if we turn that on, because what we don't want, this bottom section is basically going to hold it's going to hold the 2 abilities for the player. So the great thing about Photoshop is the alignment, so we can make sure it's dead center. I've got the document set to 1920 1080. I feel like that might be a little bit too large, so just going to bring it down a little bit. We want the icons to kind of be not in your face. We don't want it taking up too much of the screen. Now if I do a square, we can actually check in here how big I made them. So if I go in my art, no, go to widget blueprint. So that's annoying. I'm pretty sure the border, so 70 by 70, that's quite small. We'll see how that looks in here. So if I go 70, 70, I did choose that to be yellow. Why does that come out that colour? Okay, I feel like that's a good... I feel like that's clear enough to the player. So, center's there, so if we did that... Hold on. Hold on a sec. 960. Okay. 925. Dude. Alright, so that's dead center. So with those icons, background and then the icon. Right, I'm not sure if I'm happy with the Right, let's just have a play around with the the options in here, because I've done stuff like this before. I've had this before. Oh, there we go. Set to default. There we go. Outer bevel looks quite nice. So emboss and I think that was on 50. So that's basically the reflection. So if we had that 75. I think that default one looked quite nice. Texture. I'll just turn off Control H. Okay. So what we want to do is we're going to want to probably do a clipping mask. So we'd want, so it'd be nice to give those a little frame within that. Now I had ideas of mucking around with the border, just kind of so it feels like some kind of insignia. If I name this as lower frame, So if I actually got rid of that, so we're going to get this bottom center part done first, and then we'll redo the top frame. So copy layer start. If I pasted that on that, nice. Okay, good to know. So if I duplicate that, I'll make that bigger. Put that one on top. Just move those there. We want that to be central. I'll tell you what, let's, if I have that there, and then 85. How many squares is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that top one is to come up one more pixel. Right, okay, so if that is the, so basically that white section, the yellow section would be the border for the icon. So if I name, oh fudge, what the hell? Call this offensive ability, and then, dude, why is F2 doing that? F2 in most things is rename. So OA frame. If I copy that style and paste it on there, okay, and then if we go into blending options, it's not the one we wanted. See, these would be good for the jungle, I think. I'm just playing around, guys. This is a bit of an experiment stream. We're just basically trying to get something that's quite nice for the HUD. I'm gonna try. See, although that is water, that is a water pattern, but it kind of does look a little bit like tarnished steel. So right, and then to make this slightly different to the actual frame, so by default it's emboss. Okay, emboss does look nice. Stick with 50. 75. I'm going to set this to 80. Pin light, look nice. Lighting looks good. So if we brought that up, welcome to the stream, guys. Depth. That's a bit funky. I think that is the best one. Right, so go 3, and then if we get those two and just move them, dude. Move them up there, and then I'm just going to go into filter gallery and just see. Right, what I'm going to do just before I do that is I'm just going to copy those and put them in backup, turn that off, and then get the frame, rasterize. Where is it? Oh God, right down there. Holy smokes. I don't think I'm gonna get a very good feel for that. Oh, sponge would be good for the the World War one. I mean, that's a bit of camo. Now that, what is that? Smudge stick. So smudge sticked that. So basically that blue center, if I duplicate that and then that's a nice gap. So this is gonna be called not OA, that's gonna be DA for defensive. Oh my god, I've got to stop pressing F2. And then that's gonna be DA frame, DA frame. And then okay, so that feels really nice position wise. We can always kind of scale this down, but for the time being, that's where the player is. They're gonna, peripheral vision, you know, you're gonna be focusing on the player, but you'll see these, and when they're used with the recharge and things, that's gonna, I think that's gonna look quite nice and clear. And we can always scale this down once we've brought it in. If it feels too large, we can always scale it down. So what we want to do is we just want to make sure that these are kind of central. There we go. So that is central to the canvas, but that frame doesn't feel It does look equal both sides. Okay. If I go to lower frame, just gonna see. Right, so now what I want to do is I want to play around with putting on some bear with me, guys. I want to play around with some kind of triangles to create some kind of... Oh, actually... no, we don't want to do a line tool. If I just did some triangles. And then if I gave it the colour that. Oh, it's the same colour. Copy low style. And then if we bring that beneath there. There's the oh. So 0 is that. 45 is that. 9 is on the side. substitute that. Scaled it down. Brought that behind there. Oh, fudge. Oh my god, dude. We want this one to be central to, we want it to be, it looks about the same size actually. Right, so now if we got those ones duplicated and then flip horizontal. Dude. One, two, three. No, that's flipping the canvas. There we go. And you've missed off the big boy. Don't forget the big boy. Dude. Okay, is that about the same size? I'm going to play with the emboss on these. I think that was at 80, wasn't it? We have these at 30. this to come down a little bit. Okay, and then what we'll do is if we delete those ones, select these, duplicate, where's duplicate, and then if we move those, right, I think something strange is going on there. I'm pretty sure it's that emboss. Smooth. Oh, pillow emboss looks good. What are those called? They're called rivets, aren't they? Let's just check this. I'm pretty sure they're called rivets. Yeah, rivets. So I'll call this rivet. And then we're gonna dupe. And we're gonna move that across to that corner, and then copy those, and then it's been a bugger. It would be nice to have a little kind of, some kind of pattern, maybe on that large triangle. Let's see how it will look. Pattern overlay, I think. it was... I think it was the texture, that was it. Let's see how the trees one looks. Okay. We want that pattern to be that pattern on that one. Got an idea. So if I select these, if I dupe those, and then if I rasterize and merge, and then flip it, hopefully that's what we wanted, guys. That image basically, oh fudge cake. Basically
So you want to start a business.
love the YouTube adverts. Bear with me. Let me have a sip of my coffee, guys. quite hard to tell. So that purple line is basically on the boundary of there. So what was the size on, right, 70/70, and that was 70/70, and that is central to the canvas. So what I now need to do is so where we've got the health bar, so the health bar black. So you want to have that, if we're going to have the nameplate of the character, I think that yellow portrait frame was 100 by 100. So just trying to think here, guys, bear with me. So that is 100 by 100, and player character, so that could probably, I'm just trying to get the ratios just right. So if this health bar is 30, if the health bar's 30, you'd want this to be 60 by 60, and then you could have the health bar and then the nameplate above it. So if we went for 60-60, dun, 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 60-60. Bear with me, guys. So if I Photoshop. So what I could do, because I quite like the border on that, to keep consistency with the design, if I get that's so if we dupe that and move that there, and call this portrait, and then call this, oh, I've done it again, I pressed F2. Oh no! Oh my god, that's so annoying. Portrait frame. Right, so 60-60. So the frame needs to be 60-60. 60-60. And then if we made the portrait 50-50. Of course it's not central. Actually, no, that does feel... That actually feels quite central. Right, we're going to move this right up the top. I'm just going to hide the background. There we go. Now for the frame, what I'll do is I'll make that shadow full solid. What was it on actually? Multiplier. Let's change that. One, two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it is actually dead central. So basically, where that it doesn't look central, does it? But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has equal pixels either side. So when the artists have modelled the when they've modelled the playable character, I'll put their kind of head within this frame. So if we go back to here, that's 30. So we're gonna need 30 by 400. 30 by 400. Bear with me, guys. By 400. So this is going to be the player's name. I'm thinking what might be quite nice is if we borrowed this, because I quite like the rivets. So if I took the lower frame, if I duped that and called this nameplate, and then what was it? 30, 400. So 30, 400. And if we go on to the blend and turn off the shadow, It's so small. It's so small. We may be a while. We're almost there. I think it was 400 in length. There it is. To be fair, dude, I literally selected the rivets. Okay, just adding back that that drop shadow just makes it a bit clearer where the edges are, which also means I can go 1, 2, 1, so 2 across, 1 up. What's going on there? You're being a bit naughty. One, two, three. There we go. I like that little pattern. It kind of looks like eagle wings on the triangle there. And then we don't need to add anything in here because we know that the size of that is 30. We know the frame is 60. So what I should be able to do so that is central. So basically if we leave those blue sections in there, that's our kind of reference point to drop the icons in. I'm not going to draw the icons this stream. I might try hand draw something, but just for getting the plates, the actual kind of color scheme for this area. And what we can do is, if I create, if I select, no, I should, put that in a folder and we'll call this medieval. So then if I turn that off, so basically for each era, each level of the game, there's 3 levels. If I just were to duplicate that, I can kind of I can just basically alter the style to fit the era. I don't think we're going to need that backup folder. I'll get rid of that. There we go. I'll get rid of that as well. Right, bear with me 1 second. So what we're going to do is we're going to export as a PNG. And this is going to be HUD medieval. I can close Photoshop, come back to there, and I'm going to stay in Engine for this one. I like to kind of keep my applications and streams separate, so if I'm doing a stream on Unreal, I'll do it in Unreal. If I'm doing a Photoshop stream, I'll keep it a Photoshop stream. But all we're doing here is importing the ping, the PNG, and dropping it into the canvas here. So, if I just open that. UI art. Why is that not? There we go. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. That's a transparent background. So why is that showing as white? What's going on there? Oh, it was the alignment. Image. Oh, that's annoying. How interesting. Why is the health bar? Hold on. So I made the box 60, 60, 40, so that needs to come back 40, so that'd be 60, and that would be 30. Boom. Okay. Okay, needs a tiny bit of refinement. That is actually in line. It's just the drop shadow coming off of the plates. If I remove that, I could trim that, so I could go snip. I could snip that off to remove that drop shadow clashing. Because you can see the light, the edge of that is perfect, and the reason we put that drop shadow on is to get that defined edge on the bevel. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back into Photoshop, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to dupe that and call it backup. I'm going to turn that off, move that down there, save that, go into here, and I'm basically going to get all of it. We're just going to delete off that shadow. That way, we retain the shape. That's the whole reason I wanted the drop shadow on there, was to get that, because without the drop shadow we don't get that nice edge, but we get that horrible overlay. Bear with me 1 second. So now, if I get rid of that, re-import it, put that on there. And then it's anchor to the center, 0, 0, 1920, 1080, 0.5, 0.5. Okay. So you sometimes get this white edge on images on import, and it's basically a setting on the texture. So if I bring this down here, so I had this in a previous project. There we go. Did you see that? So if you do default, can you see that white line? If we change that to nearest, you see that? It's the filter. So now, what I can do is I can get rid of the portrait. So now we have HP bar, the portrait of the character going there, the name's going to go there. And now what we just need to do is just put these icons down there. And what size were they? So I can delete that one, turn that back on. 2H. It was 7070, and those, I believe, 7070. So, oh, fuck, Jesus, border, dude. Right, so these ones will need to just go there. Awesome. So this is temporary. This is temporary icon. Used Adobe Firefly to create these. I will create these myself, so do not fear. So if we, that one is, so if we do 876, 876. And then 992, 992, and then move it on the X. Uh, 972, 974, 975, so it's 974. Look at that. Yes, baby! That's how we roll. Oh, hold on. I need to set those to center. Center, compile, save, play. Perfect. Oh. If I just anchor that to the center as well. Hold on a minute, why is that? Why is that off? Why is that off? Dude. It's literally at the corner of the screen. What's going on there? One second, that's YouTube doing their annoying adverts. Right, so why is that? That part is central. So why is that doing that then? So, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know why the HUD. Why is that? What is going on there? What is going on there? You can see that is literally at the top left. Why am I getting a gap? Why the hell are we getting a gap? I'm a little bit clueless there. The anchor point is there, and it's definitely central. Like where the player is, that is dead center. Why is that off? Why is that off? Is it because of the simulation? I'm literally looking at this in front of me, guys, and that is definitely the bottom part with the icons. That is definitely center screen, but for some reason that I have no idea why that's. I'm really puzzled by that. I've got a feeling it's because of the simulation, because it's not actually. Yeah, so what I did there was I changed the anchor. You see here, if I click this, if I go boom, that's stretching this image to fill the screen, and that's doing that, but you can see the health bar has come off, and where we've got the abilities at the bottom, they've also been moved, so it's a little bit annoying. So if I just do that, if I just apply the same for all of those, no. Anchor will be top left. The anchor of those will be bottom. They're probably gonna come off again. Yeah. But if we have that to the center, everything's in place. But like I say, if we didn't have that top bar of the simulation, because you can see the pixels on the top left there. If that top bar was gone, that top left section of the HUD should fill the core. It should move to the corner. It's a bit annoying, but I mean, it looks. I think it looks pretty decent. It's like the the color, like it feels like steel or metal. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put the name of the player character for this era into that nameplate at the top left, and then like I say, when the artists have modelled the player character for the medieval zone, in that top left blue placeholder will drop in the portrait. Right, so what are we doing? Name. Text. Rich text block. The rich, fancy text. Fancy text. Go on then. Let's have some fancy text, shall we? So, set the anchor to the middle. Oh, we don't have any text. That's handy, isn't it? Right, so this is going to be Duncan O'Donnell. What? Alright, let's get rid of that. We'll just do text. Add that. God, we literally have no fonts. That's fine. Donald. What colour should that be? I'll size the content. The font should be not 25, is too big. Let's go 22. And then pretty sure O'Donnell. Okay, that looks pretty equal within the nameplate. I might just maybe across just a smidge. That looks better. Okay, so we need to look at fonts then. Okay. Right, I would say that's basically the in-game UI. Obviously I need to do the menus here. But hold on, why is that one? Oh, there we go. I think that looks pretty decent. Those triangles may or may not change, but for the time being, it's a nice little placeholder. So we need to look at different fonts to have a nice font for the game. Profile picture top left for this playable character. Swap out the icons for something that I'll create, and then that's basically done. And then we know within Photoshop I've basically got this in position here, so when we have the other levels, I don't move anything, I just change the style to fit the zone. So for the jungle, I was thinking like we could go maybe some kind of teak wood so it stands out from the green environment of the jungle. The war zone is a monochrome level, so that'd be interesting actually, making the UI fit with that colour scheme. So I am going to call the stream there, guys. Set out what I've achieved what I set out to do tonight. I hope you've enjoyed that. It's a short one. It's Photoshop. It's UI work. It's not the most exciting, but it is still fun. It's nice. It's nice trying to create something yourself instead of just using assets that other people have made. You can make it yourself. Can take a bit of time getting it right, playing around and experimenting, but I'm quite happy with that. And obviously it can be changed, you know, modified. So yeah, if you enjoyed that stream, guys, feel free to give us a follow on Twitch. If you want to see more game dev streams or previous game dev streams, check out my YouTube below. I've got stuff for Unreal, Unity and Blender. And if you want to play any of the games I've made, I've got my itch channel below. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe and I will see you in the next stream.